unite against the true threat, which is the deep state and a lot of these other entities that are complicit in keeping the division going. But for the people that have just tuned in, hopefully you guys can tap the screen and share the live. For the people that know me, I'm of the firm understanding or belief that systemic racism does not exist. It does not exist. I compare it to the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and Santa Claus. It does not exist currently. Now, was it an issue before? I would say yes, absolutely. You know, you had the transatlantic slave trade, you had slavery, you had Jim Crow, you know, the slave codes, segregation, the whole 9 yards. Absolutely. This country at one point in time was very systemically racist to people of color, 1000%. I'm not going to disagree with that. But a lot of people, and I think the problem here is that a lot of people think that a lot of people think that we live on. Like, we don't have whites only restaurants or whites only water fountains and whites only bathrooms. We don't have that anymore. That is gone. You know, in terms of people getting an education, people have the freedom to be able to get an education, get health care, you know, get a job, a little career path, build a business. No one's oppressed in that regard due to race. Roger, yeah, you're goddamn right. You're goddamn right, Roger. I woke up and I chose violence. That's what I did. That's what I did. I woke up and I chose violence today. I sure did. Absolutely. Shirley says, are you living under a rock? It does still. We as people haven't stopped and broke through. See, I disagree with you respectfully, Shirley Thomas Spence. Shirley Thomas Spence, I respectfully disagree with your position. I respectfully disagree with it. This is funny. Should I even say the username I think his first name is You and his last name is Jazz. Say that 5 times fast. I dare you. And for the people that have just tuned in, please make sure you tap the screen and share the live. Institutional racism exists. Okay, if it does exist, which institutions are racist? And can you provide me data and evidence that they are racist now? Not historically, because we can agree, I can acknowledge that systemic and institutional racism did exist. I will agree. But does it exist now? So my question is, if institutions exist now. So my question is, if institutions exist now. So my question is, if institutions exist now. So my question is, if institutional, it is illegal. Lord Panda says, Navy Federal literally got in trouble for this. For this. For this. For this. Legal, not illegal. I'm going to say that again. If we were living in a racist system, it would not be illegal, it would be legal. The system does not allow for it. In fact, it criminalizes it and punishes it. So your point is invalid, Mr. Lord Panda. Panda, Lord Panda. Muka says, I'm sorry for you. I am an immigrant. I confirm that black people are systemically discriminated. My brother, the fact of the matter is that I disagree with you. I disagree with you, my brother. I disagree with you, my brother. Kamal says it's rage bait. Well, if it is rage bait, then I guess I'm guilty. But I believe all of the words that I say. That's the difference between me and a lot. I believe all of the words that I say. Unapologetically says this: I will tag you if you don't believe me. You can tag me if you like. It's no problem. Dre says, if y'all focus on the progress, y'all won't be so angry about the past. On the progress, y'all won't be so angry about the past. progress, y'all won't be so angry about the past. I feel you. It says definitely rage bait. No. This is not rage bait. This is the truth. Oh, poor thing. Oh, I don't know. But for the people who have just tuned in, please make sure you tap the screen and show live. If you disagree with me, please feel free to come up. Hey, Mina, I see you in there, Mina. Mina, I see you in the requests, my love. I see you. But I have to get to at least, I want to get to like at least, we'll say 2,000 likes. I'm at 600 likes right now, 676 to be exact. But please, get these likes up immediately, okay? It exists. You would have never had an African American president. If racism existed systemically, you would never have an African American mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. CEOs, doctors, lawyers, attorneys, or judges. 2 of the 9 Supreme Court Supreme Court I have a question. Is the live glitching? I've heard people say that. Is the live glitching? The live glitching. The live glitching. Hating on me. Why is TikTok hating on my greatness? You see that, Mina? Mina, look. TikTok is hating on my greatness. Why are they hating on me? They're hating on me, my love. Are you there? Are you there?
There we go. There we go. I just had to go ahead and block some people. So anyways, for my own safety and protection. But yeah, so did you read the remainder of the messages?
No, I didn't read the rest. I will. I didn't know you sent me more.
Oh yeah. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So, but anyways, so I can definitely see some individuals that I know, they would certainly kind of lock horns with.
Okay.
But
and you want to punch them in the stomach and make them throw up all their food. Hit them in the stomach. Hit them.
But certainly, you know that you and I, that we have, we disagree on certain matters and whatever else. But that doesn't mean that people cannot have like civil. Well, some people can, but I'm sure that we can certainly have a civil kind of decorum and discussion. So
absolutely, you know me. Listen. I'm gonna say this, Mina, and I hate to have to toot my own horn, but I have to. I am the most equitable and fair host on all of TikTok. I'm sorry, I have to say
You're
this.
one of them, yeah.
I am, and I will allow. I'm so fair to the point where I will actually allow guests up to insult me. I remember one live I let a person up. And this lady, she was like an African lady. I think she was from like Cameroon or something. And the topic was systemic racism doesn't exist. And she was like, how could you say that? How could you say that? You like to get on your knees for the white man. You like to get on your knees. And I just let her go off. I didn't mute her. I didn't kick her. But then ultimately she kicked herself because then she got reported. So at that point. But I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was funny. But go ahead.
Well, so because I know that, there's no way that to have a kind of discussion when people are constantly, drowning out each other, right? Like, out too. But as far as one thing, because, I'm sure that you're very staunchly, patriotic for the US, right?
Yes.
As every citizen of their country should be. And also, I am extremely staunchly patriotic for Canada. Very much so.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry. Shout out to Lolo B. Thank you for the follow, Lolo B. Thank you for the follow. I see you, Lolo. Shout out to Lolo. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and so this, I don't know what your take on it. I would hope that you would kind of see it in a different light. I'm not certain, but as far as with regards to all this talk constantly about Canada being the 51st state and Governor Trudeau and blah blah blah, well, that won't ever gonna happen for one thing. I mean, okay, and the other thing I was going to mention regarding that, so now in this day and age, like currently, it's not like, back historically where we want something, we're gonna like physically invade your country, which the US had attempted to do on a number of occasions and they failed, right? Thankfully. But you'd think at this point the US government would, finally come to terms and acknowledge that Canada is its own sovereign country, right? But Trump does not. So
then here, because that's kind of the topic that we were talking about on Roscoe's Live, but I want to take it to this one. I want to get your take on systemic racism. Do you think that it exists still? I'm going to ask you that, and then I'm going to go to the next person. Are you there, Mina? Are you there?
I'm just blocking people.
Exactly. Block them. Block them now. There's no tomorrow. What do you say? What say you on this topic right here?
That's a very touchy subject because of my how obviously my being Eastern European, so being white, and I know exactly. I don't wish to be targeted, so I will stay away from that topic.
So you're not going to talk about it?
I'm sorry, what?
You're not gonna give your opinion on
it. For the sake of not being targeted and attacked or threatened, yeah.
No one's gonna attack you.
No. Believe me, I've been attacked and threatened and everything you can imagine. So yeah.
I mean, well, okay, man, that's fine. Okay, no problem. Dude, hello, dude McFitty.
Hey, how you doing?
That's a funny username. I can rock with that, dude McFitty. What's going on?
What's up?
And not a whole lot, man. What say you, bro? What's on your mind, man?
From Ohio, and I want to say systematic racism exists, but we should not do anything about it.
You said, okay, let me get you clear here. You said systemic racism exists, and we shouldn't do anything about it.
Correct.
Okay, so tell me why you believe that systemic racism exists, but we shouldn't do anything. Tell me, please.
Okay, so it exists solely because majority and minority. When you have a state where there's a majority and a minority, obviously the majority is kind of always going to get their way, for the most part. So this is the systemic racism. It doesn't matter black or white or nothing like that. It's just there's a lot more white people than there are black people. So in general, the white people are going to get their way. Okay. And it's really not that much either. It depends who you ask, but it's very light. Yeah.
Okay.
Now the reason why we shouldn't do anything about it is I think that these kind of issues are better solved on the local level. And so, and it's really to the detriment of the minority when the federal government starts trying to do things about it.
So then let me stop you there. That's a very interesting perspective that I do not share, respectfully. Your position is that there are issues, but the federal government should involve in these, but rather state and local government should get involved. Obviously, I don't share that perspective. I don't believe that systemic racism exists at all. Obviously 100 years ago, I would say, you know what, you had a point. I think, systemic racism existed in those times, but obviously it doesn't. People can be whatever they want to be. They could be educated and go to school. They become a politician, doctor, lawyer, attorney, or judge. And there's really no racial barriers in terms of being able to stop anyone from achieving that. And then furthermore, it's illegal to discriminate on the basis of race. So, I mean, I don't agree with your position at all. But I want to go to Lolo B. You are next. Hello, Lolo B. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
You know what, man? I cannot complain at all.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm gonna come out with I guess I don't know if it's unique or if I'm just still confused on systemic racism. So I know they'll come for me, but I'm not afraid. I want to hit it head on. I do hear it. I do see it. I have heard it my whole life. And I do think it's my responsibility to do better and to help my children know better and to teach better moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's my position.
Okay, so do you believe in, so you just mentioned the fact of just trying to make your society better, make your community better, make your family better, but what about the topic of racism though? Do you think that it exists systemically?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, tell me why.
Absolutely. Yeah, I believe it exists. The industry that I'm in, I mean, I hear it. I hear it under people's breaths. I hear their comments. I know that it goes on. I see it in HR offices.
Mm-hmm.
No, it is real. And yeah, it's
so
a real.
when you say it's real, so let's unpack that. Are you talking about just prejudice and biases?
Prejudices.
Like, like racism, like prejudice, biases. In other words, people have a certain idea, due to maybe a person's racial background. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's also in law enforcement, and I see it everywhere.
Yeah, because I would agree. I mean, obviously you have racist people, but then systemic racism is a different thing. That means that there's a system in place that's purposely perpetuating racism, purposely. And that's why I say I don't agree with that, because it's illegal to discriminate on the basis of race.
It's illegal, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but
our for-profit prison systems, that's
so let me ask you this.
The writing's on the wall right there.
So let me ask you this. So then let me ask you this then, because I agree there are for-profit prisons, but are there only people of color in there, or are there white people in there also?
I think there's a mixture, but I think the majority is colored.
What if I were to tell you that white people actually constitute the biggest population in prison?
I'd have to research it and see.
Yeah. Now, because people like to bring up, the prison industrial complex, which I will acknowledge. I mean, there are issues there, but you have a lot of ethnicities and races that are in prison. It's not just people of color who are. White people are too. It's a lot of them. Yeah. So, but I want to hold you here just for a second. I want to go to who's next. I think it's Mind Over Matter, and then the Biz.
Can I just, because I don't know where this is going to lead to after that, I just want to say that yes, as far as we've seen throughout history, unfortunately, and I know that we will respectfully maybe disagree with each other, but I know that we are very acquainted and respectful of each other. So, but as far as historically and now currently, for example, with the global crisis that take place around the globe, yes, I certainly do believe that definitely racism exists. We see that every day on the media, in the social media apps, on the news, everywhere, with regards to the global conflicts that take place currently.
So you're talking about, so what's this? So let's go here with it. So what about domestically here in America?
Okay, domestically, because of course I'm not in the U.S.
Well, North America. I mean, you're close.
Yeah, and so yes, there is, and because this is where the inequality and no equal opportunity. Of course, I know that there will be many that will disagree with me, but that is the case. And I have seen it over the past, especially where it was exemplified like massively since the COVID hit 5 years ago. And it has become like ragingly like a very apparent as far as the inequality and disadvantage globally and locally, like you say, domestically, with regards to the disadvantage of minority populations. Being the majority of the populations that are disadvantaged due to these issues that have gone on globally with regards to, the crisis of health and now the crisis of the G-side and the wars between, and if I can give, of course, an example.
Yes, just try to sum it up if you can.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm not going to monologue. So, for example, this is just an example. So overseas, we have the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, that consists of two militaries, and one that is extremely fully funded and militarized and backed by the U.S. Okay. And then, so this is like two on equal footing, two countries, and that is therefore considered a war. However, with regards to the other crisis, and mind you, there are others that are taking place within the continent of Africa. But for example, you have Sudan, Congo, okay, which those conflicts are actually being backed by the US and also by Israel and Zionist allies who provide the weapons trafficking and so on to those that would basically be oppressing and persecuting disadvantaged populations within those countries. And then you also have Israel and Palestine. Now, Israel is fully funded and militarized by the U.S.
Okay, now you got 30 seconds. 30 seconds to wrap
And
up.
then you have Palestine, the innocent civilian population that are not involved in the conflict directly, who are just innocent bystanders who have been massively unalived to the tune of over a few 100,000. And so, and that is because you cannot account for those that are under the rubble, that have been burnt alive and that have been evaporated by weapons that they've used. Or Izzy has used, sorry.
Okay, no problem. And we'll touch that. We'll get back to that. But you described something that wasn't domestic, that this was more of an international situation with respect to what's happening within the Middle East. But we'll go back to that. No problem. We can talk about that. But hold on. I gotta go. We'll talk about that. No problem. But I want to go to Mind Over Matter. You're next, my friend. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, King? Hope you're doing well.
I can't complain, man. I'm trying to survive out here. You understand?
Just like everybody trying to live this life experience, bro. I hear you, bro.
Damn right.
In terms, I just had a bit of a disagreement with you when you spoke about the prison in terms of the population. With regards to the population of Black people, if you're looking at the prison systems, the population should technically reflect the same percentage if it's fair. Right, and that's one thing I just want people to think about it. Also, when we look at America, because I'm not from America, the fact that you guys still have locations within America where people of color are not welcomed. I think you call them, is it sundowns?
They say sundown towns.
Sundown towns, and also as a Black dark-skinned man from the UK who's lived in America for 5 years. When I was in America, before people even heard how I speak, they would look at me a certain way. And as soon as they would hear that I'm not from there, I would immediately I would get a different facial response. Even with regards to Black people in America or across the globe, when it comes to just getting loans or not being able to move into certain areas, and just sometimes the certain injustice that the rest of the world does see that happens on a regular basis when it comes to, the unfair treatment that certain Black people face. It'll be very hard to say systematic racism doesn't exist. And and the last thing I would just want to say is, when I would say white people have an issue with people who are not white, they don't wait for it to blow over. They attack with extreme force. Like, they don't wait. And so I would just say, like, for a lot of people who might feel a little bit like this is like mumbo jumbo, like, just take a step back and really say to yourself, why do certain things keep reoccurring and nothing's being done by it? That's just my opinion.
Okay, no. And I respect the opinion, because usually with people who kind of alluded to a lot of the talking points that you kind of mentioned, they'll always typically go to disparity, which is kind of what you mentioned. And that because you have certain disparities with respect to the amount of people locked up in prison, or it might be income or things of that nature, that automatically equates to some form of systemic racism. And I'll push back a little bit, and I'll counter that and say that just because you have a disparity, it doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, well, this is systemic racism simply because you have, disparities. But I'll go back to kind of what you said as well. I want to go to Biz. You're next, my friend. Hello. Are you there, Biz? Biz?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Hello, my friend.
What's going on?
Man, listen, I'm trying to survive. That's what I'm trying to do, bro.
And I heard that, man.
I'm trying to survive in a capitalist society in America. I'm just trying to survive.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm a squirrel trying to get an acorn or a couple of acorns. I'm trying to get a whole bunch of acorns ready so that I don't have to struggle anymore. What say you?
Oh, man, it's kind of like when you see stuff like this, it's kind of, it's kind of like you seeing chickens for chicken nuggets. Kind of scratch your head a little bit.
Exactly. Chicken nuggets, Egg McMuffin.
Yeah.
Right.
Eat more. But
I'm in the mood for McDonald's right now, even though that's probably not the best thing for me to eat right now. Anyway, what say you, man? What's on your mind?
Oh, man, I mean, it's no doubt systemic racism exists.
Okay.
It's just, I think I'm kind of hearing your argument. So my question would be, when did it stop existing? When did it end?
So the minute legislation was passed within the civil rights era that made it illegal to discriminate on the basis of race. People like to ask me that question, and I usually go to the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s, because that's where you had the most significant pieces of legislation that were passed by the federal government to offer protections against racism and things of that nature.
Let me make sure I'm hearing you. So you're saying in 1865?
No. Oh no. I said around the 50s and 60s. And I always go there because that's when you had the most significant pieces of legislation passed.
So did it end or it started in?
No, it ended right then and there because it made it as a matter of law. Now, I think what happens is with this conversation is people will say, okay, even though these laws were passed, it still happened. But here's the takeaway, though. I will agree with that. That is true. Even though these laws were passed, that you had racism that still happened. But it penalizes those individuals that are engaged in illegal and racist activity. As a matter of law, it's illegal to discriminate on the basis of race. And, we have penalties. If people are caught doing said acts of racism, there will be legal consequences for it. Now, and my counter also is that if it was truly systemic racist system, then these things, redlining would be legal. But guess what? It's not legal. It's illegal. Now, I will acknowledge that it has happened. True. You won't get a disagreement with me on it, but there are penalties. And Navy Federal was caught, but guess what? There's penalties. Wells Fargo was caught, but guess what? There's a penalty. I think there was another bank in Georgia. This was not that long ago. This was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. They got caught, and guess what? They got in trouble for it. Right?
But there was no reparations whatsoever to the damage that they caused.
Oh,
then,
do you know how much they paid in settlement? Do you know how much they paid? Do you really? Yeah. So I believe.
But that's the part that they just got caught on.
No, they paid a huge settlement out. You didn't know that?
Right.
I'll pull it up for you. I'll pull it up. So
I know they paid a settlement, but my other pushback, if what you're saying is correct, then the civil rights Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. So what happened? What happened there from 1866 all the way up until when you would say the 1950s and 1960s? So the first Civil Rights Act was 1866, and it made all this stuff illegal that you're saying that the Civil Rights Act of 64 did. So
no, continue. I'm listening. Go ahead.
yes, that's what I'm saying. So if you're saying that it ends with legislation. 1866, we had civil rights in 1866.
Yeah, we do. We did.
And systemic racism still occurred all the way up until, I guess, 64. But
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think this is where knowing history is important, because people will go there and say that African Americans had it really rough everywhere for like the past 150 years. Even after that, that's not necessarily the case, because you had free states too. A lot of people don't know that you had a lot of entrepreneurship with African Americans, even in the mid to late 1800s, even going into the 1900s. You had a lot of free territory in states whereby, you had African Americans who were born into freedom and they didn't really know oppression to speak of. Like when you see the last name Smith or Cooper, a lot of these names that were attributed to Black people, they were as a result of their particular occupation. So if you had the last name Smith, that means you were a blacksmith. If you had the last name Cooper, you were a damn it. It's early in the morning. I can't remember. But it's just there's a lot of facets and nuances of history that are not being taught. If you just read a regular textbook or go with a certain narrative, you think, okay, every single African American was going through oppression for the last 150 years. And that's not necessarily true. Again, you had African American slave owners, you had business owners, you had people that were free, but then you had people who were slaves too, as well.
Right. Even in slavery, you had people that was thriving in slavery, but it's still systemic racism still existed.
But we're not talking about the 1860s now. We're talking about 2025.
I'm saying period.
You talking about now? You think so?
Because if you're saying that the swipe of a pen legislation wipes out systemic racism, then that's why I point to 1866 when the Civil Rights Act was passed.
Okay. Well, what about 2025 then? Let's focus today then.
So if we're talking about 2025, what do you feel like the government did anything to correct the wrongs that it did to the African American community, like redlining, Jim Crow, and things like that, mass incarceration? Do you think they did anything to fix those issues that they caused?
Are you asking me or Biz?
I'm asking you.
Oh, me? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what did they do?
Well, yeah, so let's go point by point. You said, what did they do specifically to right the wrongs of the past and correct them? So, again, so that's why I go specifically to the Civil Rights and Fair Housing Act of 1968.
You just said 2025. You just said 2025. What did they do to correct it by today? Because there's still communities that are made up of Black communities that they threw drugs into those communities and unhinged specifically, and they did nothing to help those communities.
Wait a minute. Okay, so let me back up. Let me reverse.
Hoods were formed by the government.
Johnny, you need to stop coming at him with such an emotional
let's go point by point. Okay, right. Let me see if I got you right. Let me see. Hold on.
Morning, brother Osa. It's me, F-Ball, bro. Good seeing you again, man.
Oh, what's up, man?
I'm back, man.
Goddamn right, you're back. So let's go through point by point, Johnny. I want to make sure I understand you. You said today that there are still communities that are marginalized and disenfranchised. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you think that the reason why they're disenfranchised is because of the effects of systemic and institutional racism. Is that right?
I don't think I know, but yeah.
Okay, and then you said the third question you said is, what has the United States government done to correct that?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay, I want to make sure I have you right because I paid very close attention. So let's start with the first point. So you came in immediately with an assumption that the reason why these communities are disenfranchised or marginalized is from systemic and institutional racism.
That's an
That's the claim that
assumption.
you made.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
a
that's
matter
the
of
claim that
fact.
you made. So I need you to provide me maybe some data or some evidence to prove
Right.
that the reason why these counties or areas are disenfranchised or marginalized is because of systemic racism. Let's start right there.
I just told you that the systemic racism that caused these issues were things like redlining. If you look at the neighborhoods that have these disenfranchised areas, they are the same areas that were redlined.
Who's forcing
Okay,
black
so
people? Wait,
give me
who's forcing?
give
Wait,
me an example of a. You know what? No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, Osa. Who's forcing black people to live in the ghettos of these inner cities these days?
Well, if you knew how it worked,
Who
Coon,
is
then
forcing
you,
them
if you
to?
knew, excuse me,
That's
Coon,
the
let me talk.
reason being that it was called redlining
Excuse,
because we were
excuse
forced
me,
people to
Coon, let
live
me
there.
talk. So if you knew it, then you would know once a government specifically does something like redlining and they only allow certain resources, especially after those people were slaves for years before that and their education, they weren't even allowed to go to college up until a point before that as well. Those things, you don't just come out of that. You don't just like and magically, oh, well, now we can do this, so we're going to be this. No, it takes time. You have to build your education on certain things, learn financial management. There's things that go into it. You don't just wake up one morning like, oh, well, I'm free. I'm ready to go buy a house. That's not how that works.
Yeah, it does
But
actually. I
but
mean,
you
sitting
you
here
hate
talking
your black
about
you hate your
we've been
black skin
sitting
so much that
here.
you want to sit
We've
here
been
and say,
sitting
oh well,
here
no,
since
who's stopping the black people?
1964. We've been sitting here since 1964, since the legislation's been written, and you want to still continue with this emotional plea as if we're
Emotional
still living
plea,
in yes,
These
emotional
are
plea, or just a
yes,
logic,
exactly.
emotional plea,
Hold on,
or
guys.
a
Wait, hold on,
logical
guys. I gotta
statement
stop
that
There's
y'all.
has
always
facts
an
to
I
back
gotta
it.
stop
emotional
you. I gotta
plea
stop you. I
from
gotta stop
blacks
you.
like
This is the
you.
host. This is the host. This is the host. Hold on. I gotta give Quantum a chance. The sister has been here patiently waiting.
We
She's been
emotional
patiently
plea.
waiting. I gotta give Quantum. I like the picture in the background, by the way. It's a
thank
very beautiful picture. You are
thank you.
very welcome, Miss Quantum. How are you doing today? Hello.
Hi, I'm good, thanks.
What is on your mind?
I just wanted to chime in on, well, actually I wanted to make something clear. So
Sure.
I feel like a lot of people are confused about systemic racism, and they think just because a law was passed, that means that
Confused.
systemic racism just ended and has no effects anymore, and
The
everyone's
victimhood
just
mindset
free
is
to
so
do
bad.
whatever the heck they want. But I like to use the example of like referring to law. De facto means in reality or practice,
Yes.
versus de jure is by law. So
Yep.
just because something isn't established as a law legislatively doesn't mean it's not actually being practiced in reality.
But here's the difference between de facto and de jure. See, like you stated, de facto, that's not forced segregation. There's nothing that's no one's holding a pew pew to someone's head and say, "Oh, you have to live in this community with people that only look like you." You have the option to either stay there or leave.
But the reality is that while Black people have been like held back systemically, all the other groups like white people, Asian people, etc., like they've already advanced, they've already owned these properties, they've already like white
And we
people
don't own
own.
properties. Black people don't
No,
own
no,
properties.
I'm saying like they own like the more valuable properties. They've
We don't own them. We
already,
don't own valuable properties.
I don't
of
Quantum,
know.
these
course, some of us
quantum,
are
these
able,
coons just want to go in a circle. Don't waste your
right.
time.
Hey, man, listen, Johnny, don't be a meanie. Listen, Johnny, don't be a meanie, bro. Don't be a meanie.
See what I'm talking
He
about?
just left,
See
man.
what I'm talking about? He just
Damn
cries an
it.
emotional plea and then he leaves. I'm just saying, like, when it comes, if we want, no one's going to sit here and say that racism doesn't exist,
Of
Quantum.
course it exists.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. But we're talking about systematic racism here. We're talking about if that was the case, we'd be living within a system that would have had us segregated from the rest of society.
Okay, so systematic
Hey,
racism
man, hold
as
on,
of
just real quick.
now,
I'll let you continue, Quantum.
go
Hey,
ahead.
listen, Johnny, how you just gonna crash out and run off? You're a meanie, bro. Like, that's messed up. I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Very good.
Can
Okay,
Don't
I
laugh at
go
my
after
Quantum. Don't
her?
laugh at my pain right now. Don't laugh at my pain.
Can I
sorry.
go after her?
Yes, you can. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I would say the way that systematic racism or systemic racism works now is we see the effects of these laws, and then also people still have racial biases, but we mainly see the effects and see how it has disenfranchised the Black community and still is today.
The what
And
is
it's
DEI?
hard. Would you say?
The what is DEI?
Okay, so DEI, are you referring to like companies just making their own
That Trump
policies?
has now canceled.
Right.
Thank
Yeah,
God.
so that's the thing. It's like
Thank God he did too.
anything that was used to like help black people, or we thought it was going to help black people, everyone complains about it. So it's just kind of ironic when people do bring that stuff up. So it's like you
Right,
don't
but it's,
even want this.
but
So
nonetheless, it's segregate. I mean, of course, excuse me, it's nothing more than just discrimination towards white people. So.
No, it's
okay,
the
so
correct years of discrimination against black
No,
people.
dude, no biz, no biz.
how are we
I mean,
supposed to
that's what
help black people? Like
Through your merit of your work, of your body of work.
Okay, I'm gonna be fair here. Hold on, Moral. I'm gonna be fair. Okay. I think DEI had the best of intentions when it was first implemented. Because think about it. Why was DEI initiated in the first place and all that? It was really brought in place as a way to give people who are underrepresented a fair opportunity to be represented within the workplace. So I believe that the intention behind it was good. However, I think it has had unintended consequences because I think Quantum, she's a smart lady. I bet you will agree that the people who benefited the most from DEI were white females. Yes?
yeah.
Okay. So then my argument is, if what you're saying is true, then what's the purpose of having it when it's not really living out its intended purpose, right? It's white women who are being the beneficiaries of it. So if that's the case, why keep it in place? That's my question.
Yeah, I agree.
What,
If
what if that?
that's
Oh, go ahead, Quantum.
No, go ahead, Quantum. Go ahead.
if that's if white people are the main ones or the vast majority and it's not helping black people, then yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, so that's why it's
But
better off. I say it's better off to have merit-based.
That would be crazy though.
Yeah, merit-based system, because really, technically, it's illegal to discriminate on the basis of race.
so I
Exactly.
have a question. Are you guys looking at these companies that only hire white people, and are you questioning their merit?
Ooh, so the thing is that look, I don't care if it's a white-owned business or a black one. Look, if you are in a position that you're trying to get a job, then I say the person with the best education or the best merit win. If it's black, so be it. If it's white, so be it. If it's Hispanic, so be it. I don't care, as long as the person is qualified. If you had nothing but qualified candidates who were pilots and they just so happen to be black, put them up there. Put them in there, coach. I don't care.
But that's what we've been saying for 200 years.
Oh my God, Biz. Jeez.
No, go ahead. Let me finish. Let me cook.
That's what we've been saying for 200 years, and it never happened. That's all we've been. All black people ever been saying was let's make it merit based.
Hold on. That's all I've ever seen. All DEI was is for people that had the same qualifications as anybody that was YT had. They were able to get a job also in that business. That's what DEI was for. It ain't because you're underqualified.
No, they're not.
It's because you have the same qualifications
necessarily, but see,
as the next person.
You're talking about in the workplace. Yeah,
It's another.
Right,
It was just another
in the
form
workplace.
of affirmative action. It was just another spinoff of affirmative action. That's all DEI.
Yeah, it's like I said, it had good intentions, but it just has unintended consequences. That's why the Supreme Court revisited DEI in college admission, because what was happening is you had people with lower test scores getting in, but then Asians would score better and the highest more than any group, but they're being disenfranchised and pushed out. That's why the Supreme Court said that we can't have race-based discrimination, DEI, in college admission. We have to kind of reevaluate.
But King, that's
DEI wasn't just race-based. DEI was diversity, which had to do with race, equality, which had to do with having equal qualifications, and inclusion, which meant also people. Hold on, wait a minute. Also, the inclusion meant people that might have some form of mental health disability be able to get a job because they don't want to depend solely on Social Security, because you can't live off of Social Security at all. You can't even rent a one-bedroom apartment on Social Security.
So hold on 1 second. One second. Rocky, I see you, my friend. You wanted to say something?
Hi, good morning. Good
Damn,
morning.
thank you
Yes,
for man. Thank you for the heart me. I appreciate it. What's going on, Rocky? What's going on?
I just wanted to make a comment. So I'm old enough where when I first got in the workforce, when I was younger, it was affirmative action, and I've been working long enough where I saw it change to DEI. And I think the problem that we have, DEI is a good idea, just like affirmative action was at the time. But what we're trying to do is control human behavior, which is really harder to do. And so my suggestion would be the concept of DEI is good, the intent, but the application is flawed because really what we should be focused on is incentivizing companies that hire diversely. If you put the incentives on the tax incentives or however you want to create them to companies that look more diverse and that are more inclusive, you use those kind of things to incentivize them to hire differently, then they would do it. The problem is they did it to meet a quota, they did it to virtue signal, but what the result is they did it just so they could say, well, we have this many from this bucket and this many from that bucket, and the merit system that everybody knows, you know, that person's not really smart, that person shouldn't really be here, is part of the problem. That's just my thought on it.
Okay. No, I respect that. I like that perspective. I appreciate that. I want to go to Tony Watts. You were next. Are you next? Tony Watts, you there?
Yeah.
I know you're about to shock some people with the last name. Tony Watts. Get it? Shocker.
I think that a lot of these industries and companies, they're not really being given their genuine opinion on how they really run the company. I mean, just because you pass a law, the person in charge of the people that are in charge, they don't have to follow those laws because people have their own biases about things and they bring them to work with them. I mean, you don't know nothing about your boss. He could leave the job and technically get in his car, ride off, and put on a sheet with a white point on the top of it, and you'll never know. You don't know these people. They could say anything while they're at work. You don't know what they do when they get off work. They're biased. You don't know nothing about these people. And half the time, you'll never know. You'll never know. You got to think about this is America. What was America built on? Blood and sweat of other people's work.
Sure.
And nothing has changed. They had to pass a law. When I was born, they had different water fountains. You understand?
You're talking about Jim Crow.
Yeah, I was born in 1959.
Okay. So you grew up in the Jim Crow era then?
I seen. I know what America is. Just because somebody take off the white sheet, does that mean they're not in that group anymore?
So you think? So let me ask you this then.
No, not think. I'm talking facts though. See, you're asking me, do I think? No, you're asking me, do I think? Everything I just said is a fact.
So wait a minute. Just simmer down. I just want to ask you a question. Just to be fair to you, I'm a fair panelist. We might disagree. So my question is, do you believe that this country in 2025 is as racist as it was back then in the 50s and 60s?
It's more. They practice their everything that they've been doing. Oh, it's to the 10th power now. They're experts at it.
So you're saying it's more covert?
Yes, it's more covert. Yes.
I agree.
Okay, I'm gonna say this.
Okay, so say I'll let you make
my
your point,
husband
Ruby,
was born in 1953.
Ruby, hold on a second. I'm gonna let you make your point, and then I'm gonna go to conservative flash. Go ahead. Make your point, Ruby. Go for it.
Okay, my point is, my BLK husband was born in 1953. He disagrees with a lot of the BLK people on this app and on these panels about racism because he lives in Mississippi, was raised in Mississippi, born in Mississippi, and never experienced all this bullcrap that everybody keeps spewing out of their mouth. He does know about the civil rights movement. He knows about all that, but he also knows there were YT people in there with them, marching with them, fighting with them, alongside them, having their back, speaking up for them, doing things for them. But y'all don't include that part. I'm done.
You know what? That seems like they were doing the help. Were they the one getting put in trees?
Damn, she just got on y'all ass for real.
Were they the one getting put in
Happened
trees?
in American history
What
too.
was they
Go
help
do the
doing?
research.
What were they helping with?
Hold on. YT people were being tree ornaments also. Do American history research.
Okay.
Just real quick, guys.
Name someone that was put in a tree.
Guys, hold on.
Name three people that you know of in history that were put in trees.
Hello, just for a second. I'm gonna be right back, guys. I'm gonna give it to Conservative Flash. Give me like 5 minutes. Conservative Flash, you have the floor. Go for it.
Thanks, man. I agree with Tony. I think it's just, it's still going on. It's just stealthier, right? I think Tony's correct. The pointy hat folks, they never changed. They just started doing it different. I think you're right, Tony. Listen, the Democrats have always been doing this, right? They are the pointy white hat people. That's who started it. And now they just want you to be on a different type of plantation, right?
No, those are the Republicans.
They want you to be on the plantation.
Those are the Republicans, sir.
They want you to be on the plantation that's government dependent, that has fatherless homes.
Republicans, sir.
They want you to live off the benefits that the government gives you and regulates for you. They don't want you to speak out on anything unless it benefits their party. So they can stay in power.
But who's taking our freedom of speech away? The Republican Party.
Ma'am, earlier you said something along the lines
since about I was born 5 law enforcement
earlier that
and it's been like that
was diversity and equality. It's diversity and equity. If I have 10% equity in a company,
diversity equal. I'm 52 years old, sir. I think I know more about it than you do. I'm 52, and I think I know more about it than you do.
Can I ask one question? Can I ask one question and get a yes or no?
Hang on, real quick. Osa gave me the floor.
It's diversity, equality, and inclusion.
Osa gave me the floor. He didn't give you the floor.
Go do the research.
He didn't give you the floor.
We ain't gonna argue.
May I ask one question?
Osa gave me the floor. He did not give you the floor. Thank you. So again, I think it's interesting that you said diversity and equality, but it's diversity and
equity. It is. Go do your research.
It's not. It's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And equity is not the same thing.
What is equity? Hold on. What is equity? What is equity?
Equity and equality are not the same thing. Equality means that two things are equal. Equity means that equity means that I can have a portion and you can have a portion, but we are not equal.
They were talking about the equal, like two people having the same qualifications, equal qualifications.
Except we know
like
that's
if a
not
woman
what
had
happened,
the equal qualifications as a man,
because
she went to school and learned the same thing he did, she can get a job doing the same thing he does.
We have a lot of
that's what the equity was.
Evidence, ma'am. There's ample evidence to show that people were hired who were underqualified because of the color of their skin or because of their sexual orientation.
No, absolutely not. That's not what DEI is. And you Republican Party people need to do the research.
You can go find it. It's out there. We know it's happened.
Wake my husband
There's been
up.
plenty of hearings.
You're not going to make me
on
wake
this.
my husband up. Shut
There's
the fuck
plenty
up.
of data out there.
No, you don't need
But
to
at
do it.
the
Don't
end of the
tell me to
day,
be
I
quiet
agree
like
with
that.
Tony. I think Tony is right that the pointy white hat people, they're still out there. They're just giving it to you a little bit different.
That's why they support Donald Trump.
Can I ask one question, please?
Yes, you're right. You're saying that Donald Trump is the pointy white hat man, but somehow he keeps hiring people who are gay, Jewish.
No, he hasn't.
Black. They're all kinds of people he's hiring, but boy, he is the master of the pointy whites, right?
Most of your rich people in America are Jewish. What are you talking about?
Let me ask you.
Are you telling me that are you telling me that pointy white hat people are pro-Jewish?
Ask your question, Tony.
If someone puts you in a tree, does it matter if they're a Republican or Democrat when they're putting you in a tree?
Right. What is with this?
Does that matter?
We don't care.
Wait, let me ask you guys.
No, it's a yes or no answer. Does it matter?
Yes, it does matter. It matters just as much as the AFD in South Africa. It matters just as much as the AFD in South Africa holding a large rally.
We're talking about America, man. Now you want to switch places.
Yeah, they need to get.
You're being disingenuous.
Let me jump in.
If someone's putting me in a tree, I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. They're doing the same thing.
How were Jim Crow laws enacted?
I asked the question. You can't answer the question. Does it matter when someone puts you in a tree what political party they belong to?
First of all, Jim Crow laws were enacted by Southern
You see what I'm saying? You can't answer the question. Does it matter what party a person belongs to when they put you in a tree?
It matters. He answered your question. He answered your question. He answered your question. You're all talking over each other.
It matters if a political party supports or does not support racism. I think that matters.
When you have a rope around your neck, when you're standing up, listen, can I answer the question? Can I ask the question without somebody interrupting me, please? If I'm swinging in a tree and I'm looking down at the people that are putting that rope around me and they're sitting up looking at me, does it matter what political party they belong to when they're putting me in a tree?
Okay, again,
it's a yes or no answer. Does their party matter to you while you have that rope around your neck?
It matters.
While you have that rope, you're being disingenuous because while you're up there with that rope around your neck, you don't care what party they belong to.
And Tony, when's the last time that's happened?
You want to ask me a question, but you don't want to answer mine. See, you're being disingenuous. Answer my question.
You are cutting him off.
Answer my question.
I answered your question.
Tony, he answered you.
I answered your question.
It's a yes or no answer. It's yes or no. Do you care?
Yes, I said yes for the third time, Tony. I said yes.
Why does it matter what party they belong to?
Because if the party that is swinging people from trees is the one making the laws, then yes, it definitely matters.
They're both making laws. Are you insane?
Listen,
how did Jim Crow laws come to fruition if a political party did not vote for them?
While I'm up, listen to me. Listen, without someone interrupting me, please. While I'm up there in that tree, while I'm up there in that tree with that rope around my neck, and I'm looking down at these people. Do you think their political party actually comes into my mind? It's a yes or no. Does their political party enter my mind?
You're on Showtime. Go ahead.
Does their political party enter my mind?
Hold on, let me take this off. My bad. He asked you a question. There we go. He asked you the question, conservative. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've answered. This is the fourth time I've answered him now.
It's a yes or no answer. You have never. You're giving an explanation. Either you do or you don't.
Am I not trying to answer?
You're being disingenuous.
Yeah. He's answered the question 4 times. He's answered it 4 times. I heard it 4 times.
His answer doesn't make sense.
He said it doesn't matter. I like his answer, but that's his answer.
This is the host. Hold on. This is the host. So real quick, I left for like 2 minutes. What just happened? I'm sorry. I stepped out for a second.
I'll recap.
This guy's over here tap dancing. I asked him a simple question. He
answered it 4 times. You just didn't listen.
So hold on, Tony. Just 1 second, Tony. I got you, bro. Hold on 1 second. What did you say, conservative?
So I said, I came in and I said I agreed with Tony about his racism comment and the pointy hat people. I said Democrats have been just sneakily holding black folks back for quite some time. Mm-hmm. They don't do it outright and in the open anymore. They do it with fatherless homes. They do it with food stamps. They do it with government dependence. And I said, I agree with him. That is racism to me. And then he got upset and said, well, if somebody put a noose around his neck, does he care what their political party is? And I said, you should, because if Democrats were the ones, voting on and electing in these Jim Crow laws, then I think the political party does matter. If the laws that are being passed are systemically racist and a specific party is voting for those and they're in power, I think it matters.
What laws?
Okay, do you know that anybody that gets on food stamps has to look for a job? They have to. They have no choice.
That part don't matter. So if you're saying that, then you have to blame the Republican Party for the 1877 compromise where they gave the South back to the Southern Democrats so they can insert Jim Crow laws.
Well, I think when they gave the land back to the people that were already there, right? Do you think that the North had a mechanism to enforce that land? Like they didn't have enough people.
No, they did.
And again, remember the South was the economic powerhouse of the Union.
1877 compromise came about.
And then also,
but the South was the economic powerhouse.
No,
that's not true. The South was not.
This is the host. This is the host. I want to give everyone a chance to speak. I don't know. Did Shabazi?
No, I haven't gone yet.
Yeah, you haven't gone yet, have you?
Yeah, and let me ask a serious question.
And then after you, I'm gonna let stop me go after you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a serious question.
Who's up here before stop me?
Hello.
And then Mojo, you too. I got you too.
I'd like to ask a serious question, and I'd like a serious answer. Okay.
Go for it.
For the people who think that systemic racism is still very much in force in the U.S. corporate world in terms of jobs and hiring, and that merit won't work because white America doesn't want to hire black people, and the merit system doesn't work. I think we can all agree that the sports leagues, except for hockey, are very much integrated. In fact, they very much overrepresent black people. We also know that the integration of those sports networks in the 1950s and the 1960s were not popular with the average American at that point. White America was not particularly thrilled with teams integrating, as many white people were not thrilled with the integration of the 60s. But those teams integrated anyway. And the fans of those teams came to accept and embrace those black athletes and who competed and helped those teams win. So my question is, obviously, in sports, it is merit that counts, and merit trumps any racial bias that may have existed. So the question is, why does that system of racial discrimination exist in corporate America, but not in sports? The white people get together and decide, you know what, we're going to allow it for sports, but we're not going to allow it anyplace else. We're not going to allow merit in the workplace to be rewarded if it's an insurance company or a bank, or hold on, let me finish, or a bank or any other institution, but we're going to allow it in sports. Did white people get together and make that decision?
All right, can we answer that? So,
very
do you know
interesting question. I want to hear you guys answer that.
You do understand.
Who owns most of these sports?
I can answer that. I can answer that.
You do understand that in an administrative role in sports,
doesn't matter.
That black people are highly underrepresented.
That doesn't matter. It's a red
herring. Can you guys like
y'all got to do
one. Why did Hank Aaron get death threats?
Everybody, wait a minute, hold on. Everybody has to mute. Just real quick. This is a public service announcement. I'm at 4K likes, guys. Get me to like 6. Just, show them, if you really rock with me, show that you love the live stream. Tap the screen and share it live. Get me to like 6K. It doesn't have to be ridiculous. You can get that in a few minutes. Get me to like 6K likes. Make sure you tap the screen to share it live. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is someone said that there's underrepresentation within staff. I think the last time I checked, the finals last year, both the coaches were black last time I checked. And a lot of them are.
Coaches. Look at the owners, the billionaires.
Okay, and then, so let's go with the owners.
Some of them are BLK people.
No. Hold on a second. No, there has to be order here. So let's go with that. Do you know how much these players are making? These players are technically making more than the owners, Quantum. No. Did you know that?
That's absolutely true. Can I chime in here? I mean,
man, listen, no disrespect to the women, but y'all gotta stop really trying to speak on stuff I don't know, especially sports.
Okay, can I say, if you put the players' salaries together, they dwarf what the owners are making.
They make more than the owners.
Why are we putting them together?
Because that's where the money is made. That's where the money is made.
But we're talking about why are you looking at it together?
No, but like Patrick Mahomes himself has a contract that's worth more than $500 million.
America, so
over 10 years.
Look at Michael.
$500 million
over 10 years.
Well, that's real money. You think how many executives in the end, other than the owners? And there's 26 owners in the NFL. How many executives make more than that? The answer is 0.
Well, what does that? That's talent.
Because
anybody can't go do what Patrick Mahomes.
You're agreeing with me.
You're talking about
in sports.
You're talking about one individual.
You're talking about talent.
No, I'm not. I'm saying
you're talking about a Beyonce.
Thank you.
Can you agree that in sports?
Because that's exactly what it is.
I mean, they can't go be a Patrick Mahomes.
You missed my point.
No, you're comparing the wrong thing.
It's tons of people that can.
Let me ask you a question.
Guys, one at a time, guys.
Talking.
Stop talking. Guys, hold on a second. I said that I will go around the panel because Mojo, you haven't really said that.
But I mean, they haven't answered my question. And again,
I'm trying to answer it, but they're
going to agree that in sports,
you're talking over people every time they speak.
In sports, players succeed through merit and merit alone. Is that true?
That's false.
The owners.
I'm not talking about the owners. I'm talking about the players. I'm talking about the players.
You're talking about the talent, correct?
The players on the field.
The talent. That's the talent.
If you want to call it talent, fine.
Right. I mean,
It
that's
is
what it
talent.
is.
That
That's
is
the
what it
talent.
is.
Okay. Well,
Right.
so
They're
they succeed on
using them
merit.
to make money, to
For
make
the
them
most part,
billionaires.
How is that?
you don't
How is that different from if you're owning a company, you want to hire the best talent to make you the most money? That's how it works.
Sure.
No, that's not how it works.
Wait.
Oh, why is business? Why are businesses
How it
different than
works.
sports?
I mean,
Why is business not different than sports?
you didn't know the plight of the black quarterback. You didn't know
I'm
that.
familiar with
Right.
You
I'm
didn't know
familiar
the
with
black.
Vince Boy.
You didn't know black
I
people
told
couldn't
you
play
at the
quarterback
start.
and middle linebacker.
Wait a minute.
told you
We're
at
there.
the
Wait
start.
a minute. Hold on a second. With the Chiefs and the Eagles, both of them quarterbacks are black. Both of them.
Why did you just ignore his question, though?
Yeah. You just.
What
Did y'all
question?
hear
Do
what
I
I
know the
said?
plight of the black
He's
quarterback?
talking about the plight of the quarterback. There is no plight. Both of the quarterbacks in the Super Bowl were both black. What are you talking about?
So the question I'm asking: do you guys know the plight of the black
We know
quarterback
about that. There is
through
no
the
plight
years?
anymore, though. There is
But
no
hold
plight.
on.
There is no plight
I'm
anymore.
just simply asking the question.
Do you know about the plight of the white cornerback? You know there hasn't been a white cornerback in the NFL since I don't know 1971.
That's not true, bro. Yo,
There was
kick
one
this
guy
man
this year.
around,
There was
And
one
the
man.
guy this
question
year.
is, why
That's
was
not
it
true.
everyone?
I'm in
There was one
Chicago.
guy.
We had Gary Fency, Doug Plank, all
No,
kind of shit. Man, stop
he was
lying.
Fensick was a safety, not
He was a cornerback.
no, he was a safety.
But
He was
the
a safety,
question
and you
is,
know that.
but the question
You know
Safeties
that.
are cornerbacks and
the
cornerbacks.
question
No, they're
is,
not.
if it was
Safeties are
Gary
safeties and
Fency,
quarterbacks are
never would have
quarterbacks.
been a white quarterback.
I really just want to know, is Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, like, what is their plight right now? I'm trying to figure that out.
No, I'm talking about before that. Did you know?
You're talking about Vince Williams. You're talking about
You're talking about Michael Vick or Vince
do you know
Young?
about Warren Moon?
Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about all the quarterbacks
Warren
that weren't
Moon,
even able to play quarterback because they had to switch their position because they just said that they could not play quarterback.
Come on, man.
Oh,
And
okay.
again,
so you're talking
that's what I'm
about,
talking
there
like
was
40,
at
50
one
years
point,
ago.
Right.
there was at one point some like shortage of black quarterbacks.
No. What I'm saying is they had to fight to play the position because they said the black man couldn't think. He couldn't play quarterback. Although
they thought the black man couldn't play quarterback,
let me finish.
but he could
Why are
think
you
enough.
interrupting him?
Let me finish.
But he could think enough.
Why are you interrupting
to
him?
run the ball? Okay, got it.
I'm saying because it was a plethora of black quarterbacks on a college level.
Okay, look,
But they said they couldn't think.
At the beginning of my whole statement,
Let the man speak.
Yo, King Osa, you got to get control of your panel, bro. Like, you being weak. Mute these people and let other people talk one by one.
at the beginning of my whole statement, I said they had to fight.
I shouldn't have to do that. You guys should have impulse control. I have to go to Showtime. Go ahead.
Again, at the beginning of my statement, I said when the sports leagues became integrated, they had to fight the prejudice of the fans who didn't necessarily want the black people in those positions. You know, Jackie Robinson, obviously, Hank Aaron, all faced very difficult, threats to themselves because they were because it was unpopular among many people. But those teams integrated, and they integrated almost completely to the point where in the NFL it's like 70% black, in the NBA it's 85 or something like that, and why is that? Because obviously, I think you'll agree that the reason why those players have succeeded is because of their merit. They merit. They are the best players available. And if you want a winning team, and the fans want a winning team, they will expect to have black players because the black players are the best. My question is, why does that system apply to sports and not apply anyplace else?
I'm going to ask this question. Tell me why, after Muhammad Ali won the gold medal and went home to Louisville, asked for a meal. And they told him, we don't care what you did. Get your black ass out of here. We don't give a damn about no Olympic medal. You still the same person. Tell me about that.
That was 60 years ago, bro.
It don't matter. Did it happen? See, you always want to say, it's still happening. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. When you go to the hospital and these people in the emergency room treat you different from the way they treat the other people, it's still happening. And you could say it doesn't happen, but I know it happened. I was just in the hospital. They was trying to kill me. They was trying, man, if you don't
nobody was trying to unalive
man,
you.
man,
As someone who practiced in the ER, nobody was trying to kill Tony. I've never seen a black patient and been like, you know what? Let's get that guy. Never. Nobody does that. That's absurd. Secondly, I think the notion is true. Why would business owners who only care about the dollar suddenly care about race? They only care about the dollar. If a black dude is the best salesman, they're going to hire the black dude. Just like if he's the best running back, they're going to hire him. I've never heard, this is just an absurd notion. And Tony got every answer he asked for directly, and he still is like, nobody's answering my questions. Like, we all told you exactly what you wanted, and you just didn't want to hear it. But I think it's interesting. Companies want to hire the best employees. I don't care what your color of your skin is. I want to hire you because you're the best, not because of what you look like. I think that was MLK's promise. And I think we've achieved that in the United States.
Man, this is the most bizarre thing, man. Talking to you guys are like chickens for chicken nuggets. Y'all want people to eat more chicken nuggets and don't realize y'all chickens. I mean, the analogy that you guys are making with sports totally goes against your argument. That is talent. Now the league the owners didn't want black people. They was forced to integrate. And once they integrated, they just moved the segregation up to the managerial office. So no ownership, although the leagues are 70% black, it doesn't reflect that in ownership. It doesn't reflect that in GM. It doesn't reflect that in in the staff personnel. So they just shifted it. And no other race of people do what you guys are doing. No other race of people that's been marginalized and oppressed turn around and say they're not marginalized or.
Okay, this is my take on all this, especially with the sports. There's just as many BLK people owning teams as there are YT people now. But it's mostly the players that get more money than the owners. And that's what a lot of people don't even realize. They get multi-million-dollar contracts every year when they do the draft. And no, they were not forced to integrate. They saw how great the talent was in these sports players, and they wanted them on their team. They weren't forced to integrate. And another thing, why can't people understand it's more about classism than it is about racism? Because majority of the people that are poor in the United States is YT people. You have more black millionaires and billionaires than you do YT. Come on, people.
Okay, so I looked up, for example, Jerry Jones owns the Dallas Cowboys, and this is just a random example. Net worth $16.7 billion. And then I looked up one of his players, CeCe Lamb, net worth 20 million. So no, nowhere close.
But no, I gotta stop you because you know what Jerry Jones, you know how he got his money, right? He's almost in his 80s at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he was super rich well before football.
Yep.
I have to throw that out there. That's generational wealth and old money.
Another thing black people usually don't get. And then also I looked up if there's any, just the NFL. I'll look up the NBA too, but if there are any black owners in the NFL, and there's only black minority owners, so they own like a limited portion of the team, and there's only a few.
Okay, so Lord, I'm wondering why we're even talking about sports. Sports is completely different. Secondly, even in the NFL until 2023, when they were compensating people for head injuries, they were compensating black players less because they were saying black players didn't even have the brain capacity to begin with. So they got compensated less. And you can look it up if you don't believe me. Secondly, I had to touch on this. Lady Red, stop tokenizing your husband. And his experiences, as you can see, there are black people on this panel that disagree. We are not a monolith. And I just don't like when white people come up here and they want to tokenize their black husbands. And then no, just stop. And thirdly, everybody wants to talk about the parties. They weren't even the same parties as they are now. It was conservatives and liberals. And guess what? The conservatives were the ones that were in favor of Jim Crow law. And who are the conservatives now? That's literally all I have to say. I have to get to fucking work.
I mean, to be honest, I low-key don't even really have too much to say at this point. But to really touch on Shabazi and what he was saying, you got to understand what you was really saying. I'm going to say the biz, you said it already, is really all talent. The reason why blacks was the face of sports, period, is because we are way more talented than a white person, and that's facts. It's been proven. It's been shown. Also, why wouldn't we take over something that we're more dominant at? We're dominating everything now. Education system, that's our women. They're taking that over. Sports, that's our men. We taking that over. Money-wise, we're still taking that over too. I'm not going to say we have the same amount or the amount of YT people that with the money, but we are overcoming a lot of boundaries. Stop thinking about this DEI thing so much.
Are you there, Fred?
Yeah, sorry. I had a hard time getting off mute. I wasn't expecting to go into showtime, but this is just such a ridiculous conversation. You guys don't even understand how much you're othering yourselves in the dynamic of what's taking place. We're all exploited by the same system. And the fact that you've been convinced that this division is real because you're a victim of history is part of the brainwashing that helps keep us divided so we can't unite against our common oppressors. So hopefully at some point, somebody will wake you guys up and you'll actually start thinking for yourself instead of believing the victim narrative that's dividing you.